Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I had a subscriber ask a question about their own personal genetic testing that I want to talk about for a moment. Alright, this is becoming a big trend in the industry, and let me be honest with you guys, I'm all for technological innovation. I'm all for trying to use science to improve things, but the problem is that this genetic testing is still in its infancy, and I see a lot of it being extrapolated, and several YouTubers have been involved, some fitness models, bodybuilders have been involved with these companies doing this, who test their genetics, give them the readout of things, and they try to make unfounded extrapolations based upon it. They're looking at things like muscle fiber types and things and trying to determine what sort of training style would give them the most gains. Guys, your training style of what's going to give you the most gains from lifting has nothing to do with muscle fiber distribution type and things. That's going to limit maybe how much total hypertrophy you can get to some extent, but high reps, low reps, things like that are not dependent upon fiber types. There are half a dozen different methods and ways for you as an individual to gain nearly maximum hypertrophy from any given training program or style of training. It doesn't work that way. There are factors that will determine how fast you gain muscle mass, and they're pretty much similar for all human beings. Some people will gain muscle slower and faster than others, and some people can't gain muscle at all from training. Those are genetic factors, but not your training style. And so when you see people say things like, well, it says you would probably be better at this type of sport. Now, you could probably make that sort of determination because there are a few genetic factors involved that we could look at. And if you can see the genes, you can say, okay, this person will probably do much better at this type of sport than this type of sport. That doesn't impact things like rep ranges or training volume or how those things will affect your muscle growth. That's kind of a myth that people have. Either you stimulate muscle growth or you do not. Either you stimulate large amounts of muscle growth or you do not. Either you recover and adapt or you do not. The muscle fiber types, which is usually what these things are looking at, are not indicative of that. And I know some of these companies who are doing it are trying to say that. The problem is that they don't have evidence for those claims. All they know is what your basic genetic predispositions are. Now, you can always look at that person with those genetics and say, yeah, you would probably be good at this type of sport. That's not going to help you with your aesthetics or bodybuilding endeavors or gains or any of that. What that will help you, and this could be the one real useful application for this technology right now as it sits. It would be very useful if your goal was to get an athletic scholarship to go to university for free. You want free university and you want to play a sport to get you there. So you want to get that scholarship. This would tell you what your genetic predisposition is in order to be actually really good at a sport. That's going to tell you which one sport you should probably focus on if your goal is to try to get a scholarship to go to school. Because most people, as long as they're not completely ungifted, whatever their individual gifts and predispositions are, there's probably a sport to where if they apply themselves enough, they may very well be able to be good enough to get a scholarship. They may not be good enough to go pro in that sport. Only a few people have the genetics to go pro in various sports. Most people have the genetics for one specific discipline because we're all give and take. It's all about balance. It's not that each person has superior athletic genetics to another. We have genetic predispositions for certain traits. Everyone has some traits. You have to have genes for something somewhere, either endurance, strength, power. You have to have something there. So whatever your predisposition is might tell you what sort of sport you might want to consider if you want to try to get an athletic scholarship to a university. That's what this testing could be really useful for. But outside of that, at this time, I don't really see any viable practical use for it yet. So at this point, this sort of technology is still probably a waste of money unless you just have the disposable income and you're just genuinely curious what your genetics look like for things like muscle fiber distribution, testosterone production, etc. But it's not going to tell you how you need to train personally at this time. And please remember, guys, if you like what I do, and you like this video and you like my work in general, please remember to click like down below. It is greatly appreciated. Thank you. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.